Hello and welcome to the course on blockchain. I'm super excited to kick off this first section, and we're going to start it off with a plan of attack. And so the question is, why do we need a plan of attack? Well, the reason is that blockchains, and I was so surprised myself, blockchain is not complex. It's not like as complex as artificial intelligence or machine learning or like those other technological topics that exist out there right now. But at the same time, there are so many different components of varying complexity in blockchains, and it is important, and this was probably the biggest challenge for me, to put these components in the right order to facilitate very quick understanding and mastery of this technology. And so that's why we're going to have a plan of attack, so that you can see like a map of what we're going to go through, so you know what to expect from this section. It's going to serve as a guide as we go along. All right, so let's have a look. What we will learn in this section. Exciting, very exciting times. All right, we're going to start off with a high-level overview of what a blockchain is, just to get that very basic, the most bottom layer of our fundamentals in place, so we can build upon that. Then we're going to talk about a very important part of blockchains, which is cryptography. We're going to discuss the SHA-256 hash algorithm. We're not going to dive deep into how it works, so don't worry, there won't be mathematics, although there will be additional reading which you can look into. But at the same time, we'll understand what role it plays in blockchains, in the cryptographic links between blocks and other parts in the cryptographic puzzle and things like that. Then we'll talk about the immutable ledger, and that is a tutorial which will show us the advantage of blockchain over the traditional ledgers. What layer of security, the first layer of security that blockchains introduce into record keeping. Then we'll talk about distributed peer-to-peer networks, and we'll see how through distribution of the ledger, of the blockchain ledger, we can actually introduce a second layer of security, which will make this whole concept, this whole technology, even that much more reliable. Then we'll talk about mining finally, and it'll be a two-part tutorial. So the first part will be how mining works, the nonce, and which is a parameter in the blockchain, and then we'll talk about how mining works, part two, the cryptographic puzzle. So after these two tutorials, you'll be very well versed in the concept of mining. You'll understand exactly what's going on, what those miners are doing, why they're brute forcing their way through things, what they're brute forcing their way through, why they need so much computational power, and all these rigs that they're setting up. What's it all about? And we'll learn all of that in those tutorials. Then we'll move on to a very interesting mathematical concept, which is called the Byzantine fault tolerance, or the problem of the Byzantine generals. And we'll understand what it is, how it applies to blockchain, but not only blockchain, how it applies in airplanes, how it applies in nuclear facilities, how it applies in the International Space Station, why it's so important, why such an important concept for distributed systems. And that will be a great segue for us to go into the consensus protocol. Once again, a two-part saga. We're going to start off by understanding how the consensus protocol helps blockchains protect themselves against attackers, and we'll talk about how the consensus protocol deals with competing chains in blockchain, and what happens there, why are blockchains able to evolve even though they're distributed across the globe, where there might be inefficiencies in terms of time lagging between different nodes. And finally, to wrap things up, we will have a blockchain demo, so a visual demonstration of all these concepts put together. We'll definitely have lots of visual demonstrations throughout all these tutorials, but at the end we'll kind of summarize it all up in one big visual demonstration. So there we go. As you can see, quite a lot of tutorials, lots of different topics to cover off. It's a total of 10 tutorials, not including this current one that we're in. So brace yourselves. There will be some patience required, but at the same time, I guarantee that you will have tons of fun along the way, and most importantly, at the end of it, you will be extremely well versed in the space of blockchain. You'll be able to have a conversation with absolutely pretty much anybody about the fundamentals and the basics of blockchain. So you'll probably know more than 90% of the population about blockchain, and also you'll be very well prepared to jump into the practical tutorials where Adlan will walk you through creating your first blockchain step by step. So let's get this party started. Can't wait to see you in the first tutorial, and until then, enjoy blockchains.